Florida football is back on the field on Thursday for spring practice. We got Jackie Franchuli on the line from allgators.com on S-Side, break down the Gators with Dan Mullen, having his news conference to start off spring practice on Tuesday. Jackie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
I am doing just fine. Appreciate you stopping by just after listening to Dan Mullen for 40 minutes. And Dan Mullen addressed NFL rumors because, as you told me before we started to record, really the first time he has met with the media since all the rumors about him possibly going to the NFL.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So he did say he didn't have any interviews with any NFL teams this year. Said that he was more focused on getting back to Atlanta in the SEC championship game. But when we pressed him on saying, like, are you interested in the NFL? Because, the question was framed if he has serious interest, and he answered that he had no interviews. He never really answered that he had interest. So pushed back if he had any interest. And that's when he went on a pretty long answer about how many college coaches are concerned in the direction of college football, and they're concerned with the future of how college football will look like. He said that, they're trying to figure out what the future holds. He did mention that, he loved being at the University of Florida. He said it's a great program. They have a great fan base, great history. And he, again, said there's opportunities to win championships every single year. But he reiterated this concern in college football. He didn't go into detail when it comes what exactly are these concerns. But he just kept saying that they don't know what 3 or 4 years down the line will look like in college football. And that's the reason why some college coaches are going into going to the NFL rather than staying in college football. So take that as you will, Mark. It seems that he is more open to the NFL. He does have 3 years left in this contract. And as you know, generally the ideal situation when it comes to college football programs, if a head coach is within 4 years, they would like to extend the contract so they're not 3 years or less. It kind of gives more stability to a program. It avoids the whole negative recruiting aspect from it. He kind of says that's not up to him. Let me see if I can read you the exact quote, because I don't want to misquote him on this, because that was an interesting thing as well. Because we asked him about, do you feel like it's going to negative recruit you? And he says, I don't control that part of it, so I've got nothing to worry about what I control, which is just getting teams ready to go to practice on Thursday. That can be in somebody else's press conference. That'll be a good question for them. So I'm guessing he insinuated Scott Strickland, the athletic director for Florida. But yeah, it's just, it's very interesting. That is something that, we're still waiting for the extension for Mullen. That is not something that's been open yet.
Jackie, something we addressed a number of conversations that we've had since the Cotton Bowl is just the very odd extremes to this past season. The triumphs, the accomplishments of getting to the SEC championship game, playing Alabama closer than anybody else, beating Georgia finally, all those things. But then on the downside, just the theatrics of the Missouri game, the Darth Vader costume, the LSU loss, the Cotton Bowl debacle, the whole thing from the negative side. Did anyone ask, was there any address of where the program stands and how the look of the season was displayed, late in the season?
Yeah, so there was, we did talk about it, how it was a lot of ups and downs. So Dan Mullen was actually asked about some of his, I guess you want to call PR snafus from last year. So he was asked about that. And he was saying that, he made sometimes regrettable things. He regrets some of the stuff that he said that didn't come off the right way, or he says he got interpreted in a different way when he made light of something, and then he said it got legs of its own. So he said he's always willing to learn. He's trying to still remain friendly with everybody, and he just kind of basically saying that he's still going to be open, and he's not going to do one-word answers or anything like that. So he kind of avoided looking back, but he's trying to look forward and not do those issues again. So I don't. It was kind of a long-winded. I regret what I did, which is more than we got during the season. Um, so yeah, so I think he realized all the stuff that happened last year has had a negative perception on Florida, especially with the way the season ended. We talked about this. The way the season ended at Florida, you would think that with a Heisman contender, with a overwhelming All-American tight end, with some guys going the first round of the NFL draft here soon, and with them coming close to beating Alabama and showing themselves quite well in the SEC championship game. You would think that this would be a season that we're talking about how the steps that the program move forward. But then when you consider LSU game, which is the game they should have won but didn't, and you see the Oklahoma game and you see all the PR issues, that's what we're going to focus on until the new season comes along. So I think he's realized that, and he's kind of backtracking a bit without fully backtracking, which is what Dan Mullen does. He backtracks, he takes one step back. One step forward, but 3 steps back. So that's usually what he did, like the NFL situation. He took 1 step forward and he took 2 steps back with his second follow-up question. So he understands a little bit about the perception wise, but he's not going to change who he is at the end of the day. This is Dan Mullen. This is Dan Mullen, who's been Dan Mullen for over a decade as a head coach. This is who he was as an offensive coordinator of Florida. I don't expect Dan Mullen to really change his personality after a couple months.